I was drafted August 16, 1943.
It's always been about breaking barriers for 98-year-old veteran Ira Walton.
They placed me into possibility of Tuskegee Airmen.
Before this time, African Americans could not be pilots, and out of the racially motivated rejections of World War I, the Tuskegee Airmen, known as the Red Tails, hit the skies, sent away to train and fly.
These are American boys going to work. Here above the warm, familiar hills of Alabama, these Americans are learning to fly in those tight combat formations.
Boots on the ground in Alabama, Walton developed a fever.
The reviewing officer said maybe that's something physical, and we missed it. And he said, well, you couldn't fly a plane if you have hay fever, and drew a big red X on my physical. And that was the end of my aspirations for professional pilot.
Big dreams crashing down.
And I volunteered to get out of the Air Corps and go to the Army, and I came back on active duty. And the war in Korea started June 1950.
And when the time comes, you'll take it in your stride.
Communist North Korea, led by Kim Il-sung, invaded South Korea.
I'm going to talk to you about what our country is up against and what we're going to do about it.
President Truman pulling American troops in to back South Korea.
And Korea was nothing then like it is now. You know, it was a third world country. Going there, you would feel so sad for yourself. And you just think that, I mean, why me? And we were making a push to push the Chinese back into North Korea. There was some Chinese someplace who had been bypassed, and they had mortars, and we started running, and I got in a foxhole, and mortar shells would come. You could tell the incoming would sound different. You could tell if it's coming in. And I would lay down in the foxhole, and the mortar shell would come in and explode, and then I would raise up to see where it hit. And then I'd hear another one coming, and I would get back down. That was a rude awakening for sure.
After his time in Korea, Walton returned back to his home in central Texas.
And I was asked for Fort Hood.
Only to be called again.
To know your enemy. The Viet Cong.
In December of 1967, Walton deployed to Vietnam. For Walton, it's been all about breaking barriers. One of the first African Americans chosen to fly, and 98 years old, sitting on this bench today, sharing his story. A story alone, making history.